Okay, so we've got these two mixed in with a mask, so we're showing one or the other in certain areas of the texture. Let's have a look at this node setup and see if we can't tidy it up a little. So I'm just going to go full screen on it, and we can probably, if you're learning, it might be an idea just to kind of keep it like these and frame areas just to help you understand. We've done this before, breaking it into frames so you know what each section is doing. But if you want a tidier node setup, well, let's go and tidy it up. We've got a few nodes here that are duplicated and stuff we can do just to reduce this down a bit, make it a bit more simple. Okay, so we'll start with the emission node. We don't need that. That was just to see what the output from the noise texture was. Okay, let's have a look down here. We've got two texture coordinates. So we've got the brick and the concrete. We've got two texture coordinates and they're both using the UV output. So we could probably get rid of one of these. Click that. And we can put that in there. Okay. So we're using the same UV coordinate and we're using it in the brick and in the concrete. Okay. I'm also looking at these two mapping nodes. They're using the same scale. Okay. So we can get rid of one of those. Wrong key. And we can use the output into both because it's exactly the same thing. Alright, so that's two nodes we got rid of. And just to show you, it is still exactly the same thing. Okay, so what we got here is we've got two image textures, two diffuse running into a mix. Okay, that's pretty normal. What we could do here, and this actually points back to last week, we've used a mix shader here. But if you remember the last time when we were mixing the rust with the chrome, I used a color mix RGB. Okay. One says mix shader, one says mix. And you do need to be careful of these. Now, the rule here is a mix shader will mix two shaders, these two diffuse shaders. Okay. However, a mix RGB goes before the shader. So, let's just remind ourselves of what this brick wall looked like. Okay. We could rearrange it so we could get rid of this mix shader. We could mix the RGB using that same factor. Then the diffuse into the output and get rid of this second diffuse. And let's go back to full screen or go back to full UI. And we're getting exactly the same result. The only difference we're doing here is we're mixing the colours before the shader rather than mixing two different shaders, which is absolutely fine, gives exactly the same result. Okay. If we wanted a different colour ramp, or actually what we could do is make our own. We could just swap this noise texture out with a mask type texture. I'm just going to pause for a minute while I find or create a texture mask. 1 second. Okay, I've brought in this extra image here, which is of cracks. Let me just open that so you can see it. And it's just a kind of a texture of cracks. It's very small and pixelated, but we won't worry about that for now. For production work I would use something of a lot higher definition. But anyway, as I was saying, we could replace this noise texture with any texture of our choice. So if I was to plug that in there, you see we're getting plaster with kind of cracks with the bricks showing through. So we can use any kind of image as a mask. It should ideally be black and white. If it's not, you can desaturate and use a color ramp to get the effect you want. Let's kind of bring this the other way. It's just inverted it really, hasn't it? But yeah, you can use any image texture or any texture really as a mask. I'm just going to set this back to the way it was and get rid of that image texture. But we have this simplified texture layout. And a much simpler node layout. You can almost follow this through linearly. Really about all we've got to say on that. Okay, we'll pause there. When we come back, I want to add some more life into this texture. It's looking very, very flat. So we'll have a go at that.